All right. Welcome to our Sunday Strength, you guys. So today our question is, what if your desired marriage was beyond behind what you don't know or believe? And this is an important question. I think we need to consider because of the struggle that we have in our relationships. So before I get started, though, I want to tell you guys about our Saturday marriage communication masterclass that I'm going to do live at 9 a.m. California time. So if you're interested, head over to the Shine Campus and sign up for that. Okay, so back to our question. This to me is a big deal because the more you think about the things that are going to change in your relationship if they're not going well. I mean, and honestly, not everybody is in a relationship scenario, but in life in general, if you're going to change what it is that's going on, you're probably going to have to consider things that you don't even know that you have to consider. And so I think it's a big deal for us to just talk about this. What if the things that you actually want are right behind things that either you don't know or things that you don't even believe in yet? And and so that happens all the time. If you start thinking about where you want to be in your relationship, you might say to yourself, like, I want this relationship, but I really don't see how I want this kind of relationship, but I don't see how this relationship will get it. Right. And so I want to be in a relationship that's happy, but I don't see how this person is going to make me happy. Right. So, common situation. And I want us to all kind of start thinking about this in a different way. And the first way I want you to start thinking about it is in the idea that we have gaps. We have areas in our mindsets, in our life experiences that have got us to the place that we're in, but don't won't necessarily take us to the place that we want to be. And so, in that, the struggle starts and begins, and it costs us a lot of challenge just to be able to get to that spot. But the more we're aware of what we don't have, or the things that we're missing to get to those spaces, the bigger deal or the better it gets. And so, what are your blind spots? And I think that's where you sitting down and really trying to do an assessment of a where you want to be or what you actually want to do in your relationship, how you want it to feel, and then two, for you to be able to say, okay, well, what are my belief systems that are leading me to where I'm at? What are the things that I don't know that I need to be able to know so that it can help me? And then maybe even who do I need to seek out to start changing what's going on in my life? And so if you're able to do that, you start understanding some of the beliefs that you have that will limit you. So here are some. There's a couple that I'll give you right now, but there are so many, to be honest, and some of them are beliefs that we don't even realize are causing us issue. But I hear people saying like marriage is always hard, which it's not that I'm willing to say that marriage isn't hard or there isn't a challenge at some point in time. But if you have that belief, then I mean, it's kind of hard for you to create something else, right? And so that's what our beliefs kind of take us to. If you have a belief that says, like, marriage can be hard and it can be easy, but it's super useful to my life, you start leading in that kind of direction. So that's just one example of how your beliefs and the things that you're doing in your mind will lead you to another one. Another thing that I hear people trying to say in relationships is that my partner should know what it is that I need without them asking. And so what ends up happening in those scenarios a lot of times is communication gets limited because everybody's one upping in the relationship on negative scenarios versus one upping on goodness, right? So it's just simple things like that that to me um, limit what we can do inside of our relationship. But sometimes we don't even realize that it's a challenge. Okay. And so we need to be able to expand our knowledge. We need to be able to expand our beliefs. Highly recommend that you venture out of what it is that you're doing. I started out talking about the course that we're having, the communication, marriage communication masterclass. Super useful for you just to be able to know more about what communication is. But um, even if you don't go into that, start doing some digging about what are the other possibilities of marriage. Is this it, right? And so the more that you're able to switch over your belief systems and or the knowledge that you have, if you can add on to it, the more you start understanding, like, man, I don't even know that much about how marriage should go. And that was a really useful characteristic of my own personal situation. And I think that's why it's useful for me to share it with other people, is that sometimes you don't even know what you don't know. Um, and so, but you're dealing in life, and you kind of have to do this at some rate. You're dealing in life as if you do, and trying to do the best that you can. Let's see if we can change it over by just growing our knowledge in different ways, and seeking what's right in our marriage and what's useful. So the next idea for me to help you to kind of talk about, like, well, how do I get to the desired marriage? To me, a real practical step for you to start growing this knowledge, besides the things that I mentioned earlier, for you to start looking at some of your limiting beliefs and growing your knowledge base, is for you to put in front of you where you want to be as an approach to your marriage. So we always know where we're at, or we can feel where we're at. Frequently, we know what we've been through, and that fills up so much of our time and energy, and fuels a lot of things. And so, in those scenarios, knowing where we're at and knowing what we've been creates this anxiety about what's going to happen in our relationship and how it's not going to turn out good. And so it makes it hard to be in our relationship in the way that's going to actually benefit us. So what's the practical way of switching that over? The practical way of us switching that over is having the mindset, or the vision for what it is that we actually want in our marriage later on. And so the more that you can write that down or figure that out with your partner, the two of you can lay that out, and you don't even have to be in agreement. Both of you can come up with something. You say, hey, I want this in our marriage, and the other person say, I want this in the marriage, and maybe we come up with one that we can combine our idea with and agree on, and now we have three that we're just going to be pursuing in our relationship. And that's useful because it changes all of our approach to what's going on inside of our relationship. Okay, and so to me, that's a huge practical step for you guys, just to start um, pursuing. And the reason it's huge is because if it's a place that you're not at right now, it's going to cause you to dig on, okay, how do I get to be better at communicating? How do I get to be better at setting goals and prioritizing each other? Or how do I get better at being able to master the thing that I just listed as what I want my relationship to be? Okay, so I think that's a big deal for us. Another piece that I think is a big deal, and this is maybe one of the things that we don't always realize, depends on what we grew up with, but integrating some kind of spirituality into your relationship is a huge deal. And it's a huge deal, at least for me. I know, because the answers that I find in the Bible, at least, are useful to being able to grow my perspective and my relationship, and really the relationships that I help work with outside of my own marriage. And so I want to invite you guys as a sneaky little bonus to somehow integrate some spirituality into your relationship. And I don't need to script yours for you. You get to come up with yours and develop that as a couple. And I want you to have fun doing that as much as possible. All right. So a couple things that we went over. So one is it is possible that the marriage that you want is actually behind the things that you don't even know, or even behind some of the belief systems that you need to be able to change over. And in order for us to be able to do that, we have to become more aware of what our gaps are. We need to do a better job at understanding what our limiting beliefs are. And then, if we can really work on expanding our knowledge and our belief systems, not to be based on previous experiences or other people's experiences, but instead where we actually want to be in our marriage. And so the sneaky step that I gave you guys was spirituality as and I really call it a bonus. I don't know if it's sneaky, but a bonus step. It's adding spirituality into your relationships. But another idea is that if you can think with the future of your relationship in mind, man, the sky's the limit for where you guys are going to go. Man, a good start for you guys is jumping in our marriage communication masterclass on Saturday. not only will you not be disappointed, you're actually going to grow your relationship. And both of you can jump in it at the same time and or watch the recording later. All right. I thank you guys for listening in, and we will talk to you soon. Enjoy your Sunday.